Day 3 of my Paddington trilogy reviews. I have just seen the latest installment in the Paddington trilogy. But is it as good as the first two? Well, we're about to find out. Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I am going to be doing a review on Paddington in Peru. So, Paddington in Peru is the third and latest installment in the Paddington trilogy. Well, probably now a quadrilogy because if I'm not mistaken, there was a fourth film announced, and it came out in 2024 in the UK but 2025 in other countries. It has yet to come out in the US, but it did come out in my country, and it's directed by Dougal Wilson. Yep, not Paul King, but Dougal Wilson, and it stars Ben Whishaw, Hugh Bonneville, Emily Mortimer, Samuel Jocelyn, Madeline Harris, Antonio Banderas, Olivia Colman, Julie Walters, Carla Toes, Haley Atwell, etc. And so the film tells the story of Paddington, now an unofficial British citizen after acquiring a passport, who is determined to travel to Peru in order to meet Aunt Lucy. And so, as the Brown families have been distant from each other, they have been lacking quality family time. The Browns decides to accompany Paddington in his journey to Peru. But once they reach Peru, it turns out that Aunt Lucy has actually become missing, has gone missing, and so they go on an adventure to find Aunt Lucy, believing that she is actually trying to search for something. And during the journey, they seek help from an adventurer named Hunter Cabot, played by Antonio Banderas, and his daughter Gina Cabot, who are both on their own quest to search for treasure. Well, it's mainly Hunter's mission, but Gina is just there because she's his daughter. And so so they both go on a wild expedition. My bad, to search for what they need. Now the first two Paddington films are some of the greatest family films ever made. The second film in particular is one of the greatest sequels of all time, and it's all thanks to Paddington, to that film, that this trilogy has started getting recognition, because the first film is such a sleeper hit. That first film barely gained any recognition, but it's like what I said, it was a sleeper hit, so it warranted a sequel, which gained Paddington all the recognition he deserves to have. So much so that, well, it warranted a third film. Now, this third Paddington film was actually interesting because this is the first film in the franchise to not be directed by Paul King. But at the same time, there was a certain element that would have made this the best Paddington film, because this could have been the best Paddington film, and that is Rachel Zegler. Yeah, fun fact, guys. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be in this film. She was supposed to play as Gina Cabot, the Hunter's daughter. But due to backlash and controversy, and also mainly the writer's strike, Rachel Zegler has exited the film and was replaced by someone who I don't know about, an actress I personally have never heard of. So, not being directed by Paul King, and especially not having Rachel Zegler in this, were two red flags for this film. And also, the trailer also did show a red flag, because it was pretty obvious that it was going to be the weakest in the trilogy. Just upon watching the trailer, yeah, I knew it was going to be. And I did a review of that trailer. And if you remember my trailer review on Paddington Peru, yeah, you already know that I had that feeling this was going to be the weakest in the trilogy. Because like I could it looked like it was going to be just a simple adventure, but it's not going to have like that the magic of the first two films. And I think having a change of director shows. Now, this film was originally supposed to release on January 17 in the US, but unfortunately, this movie got delayed to this movie got delayed to February 14. Yep, the same day as Captain America: Brave New World. Now, I will say this though, I think making this film delayed to Brave New World's release date, that is like one of the most unnecessary delays I've ever seen. Usually movies get delayed because either they're unfinished or at least like unfinished yet, or any sort of production issues. But Paddington and Peru getting delayed, I mean, well, there was no motivation for this movie to get delayed because this movie already released in the UK in November 8th. So yeah, there should not be an excuse for it. I think that this movie should have stayed with its January release. Well, at least the weakest Paddington film is the one Paddington film that does not that isn't a January release Paddington film. And after seeing this film for myself, I gotta say, yeah, I definitely agree with the vast majority that this is the weakest Paddington film. And yeah, so while the reviews of this film are overall positive, yeah, everybody is saying that this is the weakest film in the trilogy. Some still love it, but I've seen some reviewers say that this was actually quite underwhelming. But even if this film isn't as good as I wanted it to be, it is not a disappointment at all. It still, yeah, sure, it doesn't match the masterful quality of the first two films, but Paddington in Peru still rules, man. This is still a damn great film. The Paddington trilogy still stands as one of the greatest family trilogies of all time, let alone in my top 10 favorite movie trilogies of all time in general. So yeah, it's not a perfect film. It's the first film in the trilogy that is imperfect, but even imperfection is can still rule, and this film certainly does. Now, what I love about this film is that it is how it changed the main location from London to Peru, making this the most unique Paddington film yet. The story is absolutely strong, as it's not just some generic adventure. As we get to learn more about Paddington's background, and the film even reveals where he really came from, making this hit film his most well developed yet. And also the Brown family certainly goes through some character development in this one, as they lacked family bonding, like ever since the start of this film. Yeah, the whole family did their own thing and was very distant from each other. Mary was concerned about that. Mr. Brown, I keep forgetting his name. But the father character was busy with work. So Henry Brown, yeah, my bad. Henry is busy trying to impress his boss. Oh, by the way, I should mention, speaking of Henry's boss, do you want to know who plays Henry's boss? Yep, Haley Atwell. And honestly, Haley Atwell's character could have been my favorite Paddington character ever. I just wish she would have more to do in this film. I just wish like Haley Atwell would have played a bigger role. Like, honestly, I would have personally swapped Olivia Colman and Haley Atwell's roles together, but well, maybe I guess it's because of Mission Impossible. But it's nice to see Haley Atwell in this one. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Um, Jonathan has become like your typical Gen Z teen, always being so addicted to gadgets and video games and all that stuff, while Judy is like working her ass off to become a college student. And I noticed that the characters' personalities do change. Like in the first film, Jonathan wants to become an astronaut. In in the second film, Jonathan wanted to become an engineer, and in the third film, Jonathan like wants to become like a tech guy with genius inventions and all that stuff. Now, yeah, well, technically, Judy's like character arc is kind of the same as the second film, where she was a publisher. In the second film, she's a journalist who wanted to print paper, and then in the third film, she became a travelogue. Well, if you think about it, those two they're both technically kind of similar. So I guess Judy is partially the same, but in slightly different ways. Oh, also, by the way, I should say this as well. Yeah, this film made me have a crush on Judy Brown. Now, I would have had a crush on her in the previous two films, but again, I mean, age, I guess. But now that she is a college student and she's like my age, I get the rights to have a crush on her, and I now declare her as my Paddington crush. Yeah, she is now my Paddington crush for sure. And yeah, like what I said in my review of the second film, she's my favorite Paddington review in general. But as someone who loves traveloguing and probably wants to pursue a career in that, well, maybe. I actually found Judy Brown to be very relatable in this one. Yeah, no wonder Judy is one of the most adorable names I've ever heard. I mean, first Judy Hobbs and now Judy Brown. That kind of makes sense for some reason. But yeah, Mr. Brown was great in this one. Mary and yeah, sure. And I know that people are disappointed that Sally Hawkins was recasted with Emily Mortimer, who you may know as Holly Shiftwell from Cars 2, my favorite character in the Cars franchise. Well, I gotta say, she is I gotta say, I personally prefer Emily Mortimer's character over Sally Hawkins. I mean, portrayal of Mary over Sally Hawkins. Yeah, sure. I know that Sally Hawkins I'll probably end up remembering Sally Hawkins' version more. I'll have to think about that. But for now, after seeing this film with like a fresh mind, I honestly prefer Emily Mortimer's portrayal more because, I don't know, probably because she's hotter. And also she has like a more vivid personality to it. Yeah, most of us Sally Hawkins' version's character traits are basically, oh, like I'm so sweet, Paddington. But I like how Emily Mortimer's like version of Mary like gave the character more expressions, more character traits than just oh, so sweet. Yeah, but don't worry, I don't consider that a problem. But I just think that, yeah, I enjoyed Emily Mortimer's performance more. But maybe I'm a little biased. The adventure was absolutely engaging, and I love how there were some dark moments in this film. One of my fears going into this one was that it was going to be far too lighthearted. The first two films. One of the things that made the first two films like so magical and so impactful was having dark moments, and like blending them with lighthearted. But they're not afraid to go dark. Like the first film had the Natural History Museum sequence, while this one had the the second film had the prison, which is quite dark for a kids film, family film. I was afraid this one was going to be all pure lighthearted, but thankfully this film is not. This film did have those dark moments as the storyline involves diseases and spirits and all that stuff. And so yeah, I gotta applaud the film for like actually going there. And I'm happy. The humor was just as funny as the first two, especially all thanks to Antonio Banderas, one of the scene stealers of the film. And Antonio Banderas gave one of his best performances yet in his entire career. Granted, he's not an actor I'm passionate about, but he's still a pretty solid actor. And I think this film, yeah, among his best, especially in terms of live action. He was hilarious, especially with his ancestors, like when trying to get into his mind and all that stuff, and would tell them things. They were hilarious. And a certain moment, like when there was this one funny joke, which I would say is the funniest scene in the film, when the ancestor of Hunter punches him, but then in reality, he's actually seen punching himself. Yeah, that got me dying in laughter. Yeah, where else? Also this film has some great peril as well, like the boat crash, and also the chase scene in the third act. The climax was epic. Now, yes, it is the weakest of the three climaxes, but still like a fun climax all around. Now, yeah, the film isn't perfect. I do have flaws in the film, and when it comes to me talking about my flaws, yeah, I'm gonna give away some spoilers in this film. Well, I already spoiled with the Haley Atwell cameo, one of the best cameos in a while. But yeah, I'm gonna be spoiling some major things in this film. So yeah, if you don't want to get spoiled, well, go watch the film. I'll give away my rating. It's a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, now if you don't want to get spoiled, you can leave the video. But still, maybe go back to it, save it to your watch later playlist or something. It's actually very helpful. But anyway, spoiler alert. So this film had a twist villain. Yeah, that's actually why the trailers did not give a show of a sign of a villain, because yes, it had a twist villain, and the twist villain is actually both Olivia Colman and Antonio Banderas. Now I'm not sure if I would say Hunter is actually like a legit villain, because he is he is a villain. He did redeem himself at the end. Like, he was only like a villain for like 2 minutes of the film, but he did change. Well, technically, yeah, he is an antagonist. But Olivia Colman's character, Reverend Mother, is technically the main villain of the film. There is a twist where she turns out to actually not be a nun, and was actually the one responsible for making Aunt Lucy go missing, only for her to get to search for the treasure ahead of everyone else. She sent Leroy Paddington into this mission. I mean, the twist itself, it could have been better if it wasn't predictable. Yeah, this film made it obvious from the get-go that that the Reverend Mother was actually it was going to be a twist villain, and all that stuff. Yeah, especially all thanks to Mrs. Bird for being really smart and in figuring out that Reverend Mother was up to no good. And also Hunter was, well, technically the movie already made some obvious foreshadowings that he was going to be the villain of the film. In fact, I remember in Harry Thomas's review of the film, yeah, shout out to him, when he said that the twist villain was predictable, I was like, yeah, I'm calling it. Hunter is the villain because the second the second trailer actually did kind of show that Hunter was going to be the villain when he chased Paddington, but it didn't really imply that Hunter was the villain because we see him like chase Paddington, and then in the end of that trailer, Paddington gave Hunter the hard stare. Yeah, the iconic facial expression of Paddington. So yeah, now another flaw I had with the film is the music number. Yes, in the first half of the film, there was a song number, and honestly, like, what the fuck was that? I'm sorry, but why did we need that musical number here? And it showed that Olivia Colman cannot sing, so Hollywood do not cast Olivia Colman in a musical ever. So yeah, and oh yeah, and also I think that this is clearly the slowest paced Paddington film when it comes to its pacing. Now I don't think that's the slow pacing as a flaw, but there was one scene that did drag on for me. It was a scene where the Browns and Cabots were inside the ship, and they were inside the boat, and they were like talking on the table, and then there was like a scene of them going to bed, and then all that stuff. That scene dragged on. I was bored out of my mind in that scene. I was like, oh my god, going to the adventure. I don't give a shit about that. Yeah, that was the worst scene in the entire film. So yeah, now originally I was like going to criticize that prologue, like the prologue where Aunt Lucy like saved the Paddington's life, like Paddington's basically his origin story where he was about to drown, and then he was saved by saved by Aunt Lucy and Uncle Pastuzo. I was gonna criticize that because like it was basically just an unnecessary retelling of the origin story in Paddington but as the film went along, like, now I will say I forgive the opening scene despite it being a redundant of the opening in the second film. At least the opening in this film did serve a purpose in the context of the story. Yeah, because Aunt Lucy asking Paddington, like giving Paddington an advice where if you get lost, just roar, and I will hear your roar and roar back. It actually did serve a purpose in the story, more of a purpose than Paddington do, I will say. So yeah, I forgive the opening. But I will say that if I were to rank, to give you guys my thoughts on compare all three prologue openings in the trilogy, the first film did easily has the best opening prologue. Yeah, with seeing the bears in Peru and the earthquake and the dark tragic death moment of Uncle Pastuzo. Yeah, that was like the best of the prologues. So overall, Paddington in Peru is the weakest in the film, but it's still an excellent film regardless. This could have been the best Paddington film since Rachel Zegler was originally going to be in it as Gina. But even though it ended up being the weakest one, it's still impressive. Yeah, I think Rachel Zegler's absence was what kind of hurt this film from being as good as the first two films. I don't think Paul King's absence from directing was what truly hurt it. And yeah, all I will say, yes, Paul King should have directed this film, but Dougal Wilson still did a good job with keeping the spirit of Paddington. So as I said, guys, I'm going to give Paddington in Peru a 4.5 stars out of 5. So for my review of Paddington in Peru, what are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that this is the weakest in the trilogy? Or do you think it's better? Do you think it's the best one in a trilogy, or do you prefer this over the first two? Do you think this is the best one, or do you rank this in the middle? How would you personally rank the Paddington film? So, for me, I would say, well, it's pretty obvious. Number three is this. Number two is the first one, and number one, obviously, is the second one. So yeah. Oh yeah. Also, by the way, before I end this review, a few things that I kind of forgot to mention. Even though I was not a fan of Olivia Colman being a villain because of how predictable that twist was, I think the Reverend Mother character was still I actually did like her, and Olivia Colman did a good job with it, with playing the character. And also I forgot to mention my cinema experience with this one. I watched this I saw this in a huge theater, and there is nobody in there. I was actually the only person in the theater, believe it or not. Yeah, it's just like the first time all over again. The only difference is that in the first film, it was just like me and it was just me and my family. But in this one, it was just like me all alone. Well, my brother did watch it too, but just not with me. So yeah. Anyways, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my movie review on Captain Underpants, the first epic movie leading up to Dogman, which I'll probably wait for Dogman on digital, or unless if I can watch it on camcord. So yeah, bye guys.